welcome to another interview episode of I Heart Geek. Yay!
Yay!
Again, I love these episodes. I'm Dub, and I'm the least interesting part of this show. With me is Satomi, and Satomi, as always, you bring in the most interesting people on the freaking planet. Tell us who you brought in today.
Well, today I brought in an awesome and interesting person. He is an actor, he is a singer, he's a dancer, he's a tap dancer, a choreographer, a director, a music producer, essentially anything you can do with music, video producer, and self-proclaimed Jurassic Park super fan. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the studio Mr. Lamont Brown. Yay!
Hello. How's it going?
Woo!
Wow. So I've heard a ton about you going into this. Now we're going to talk. I know you have a huge obsession with Jurassic Park. We'll get into that later. First off, and I have to talk about it now. We were talking about it a little bit off screen because I am a huge Irish geek. You were in Riverdance.
Yes.
And that makes you kind of royalty on this show. So tell us about the whole Riverdance experience.
Yeah, how do you end up on Riverdance as a tap dancer rather than an Irish dancer?
Because his name's Sammy Davis Jr. That's how. I'm just kidding. Bad joke. Okay.
I would love to play him. But so this started, oh gosh, in 2015 while I was working in Kansas City doing Hairspray. Whoa. So someone had asked me to come to an audition and come back home to New York. Mm-hmm. No, excuse me. To New York, but I said I couldn't make it, but I'm closer to Chicago. So I actually auditioned in Chicago, flew in just for a couple of hours because I had a show the next night. Audition went great, and it goes, great. So, like, when are you, like, available, and when can you start? I was like, I'm going on another tour, and I was leaving to do 42nd Street National Tour, the 2015
tour. Oh,
nice. With Mark Bramble and Randy Skinner. And I was like, no, I'm just going. I have to wait because I have to do that tour. This is something that is super important to me. And they kept asking, but then eventually, some years to come, a couple of years, around 2017, after leaving a cruise gig, during the cruise gig, they got back in touch like, hey, we really need somebody. It's like, can you start this fall? I was like, I can't because I'm doing something else. But after the first, yes, basically,
you sound like a Vegas performer right now.
You're the busiest guy in the business.
I know, it's insane. I think I annoy people with that. But I couldn't do the first 3 months of the tour. So they made it work. I ended up coming in that January of 2018. I did the last 3 months on the road with them. It's a great show, and I got hired as a tap dancer instead of an Irish dancer because I'm not actually an Irish dancer. So I get hired as a tap dancer, which is the second half of the show, where it shows the similarities and the battle between the Irish dance and tap dance.
Oh, okay.
And they also
suddenly the show makes more sense.
yes, and right, just so that where we come from. And I was also the baritone singer in the show. That was right before that number.
And how long have you been tap dancing?
My. I would say 20 years now.
Did you like, was it one of those things like you came out of the womb with little tap shoes on and you were like, tick, like keeping your mom up at night?
Well, I didn't start tapping till I got to the dance studio that actually started in the basement of my church because I started dancing in church. So it all started there, and then the dance studio moved from there, went to a dance studio, and everything essentially started there, and then moved on and started learning more with ballet, jazz, and then ended up moving another dance studio and just learning more tap. Watched the movie Tap the movie with Gregory Hines and all the fabulous tap dancers, and
oh yeah.
And
I actually studied with Henry Latang.
Oh my gosh!
Who was Gregory Hines' teacher and lived in Vegas for many years and had a studio in his living room, converted studio. And we'd be in there. We'd be in his house, and he'd be chain smoking with the sliding glass doors closed, and we'd be tapping our butts off. And he would play piano for us. He'd have like the cigarette like just dangling from his lips, and he'd be ba-ba-doo, ba-ba-doo, ba-da-doo, da, and he'd be playing piano for us. So, for our tap geeks out there, Yeah, it's major part of the tap community. So go on. So you watched tap. Were you always drawn to tap, or were you kind of thrown into it?
Thrown into it, and then it wasn't until the movie I was like, "That's what I want to do. I don't know what exactly, but I want to do that."
Mm.
Hmm.
So I watched the movie, and it just went ding.
Mhm.
This is it. Um, and like actually within that studio, I actually ended up kind of growing out of that studio because I was there since the studio started.
Mhm.
And this actually also leads into the videography stuff, so we'll get back to that. But um, then I ended up going to another dance studio, and it was more Broadway kind of style, and my upper body arms was just all over the place, just a hot mess, just all over the place. They're like, "We need to fix
Squidward.
that. Great feet, but your Squidward, you just need to fix this." So I ended up fixing that, and then ended up teaching a lot more at that point, and left for college. Learned even more. Went to AMDA, um, and
American.
American Musical and Dramatic Academy.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And then as I was leaving, I can't remember if I met Jared when I was leaving school. No, I met Omar Edwards as I was um, leaving school to go to Busch Gardens. So I was graduating, going to Busch Gardens to go tap there. But it was kind of like with every contract, there was more and more I was starting to learn within the realm of tap dance
Mhm.
that maybe necessarily didn't know, but it was just those connections helped me just grab hold of all of that, you know?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this real quick. As you say, you're going from job to job, and you're
Mhm.
getting more work at per job.
Mhm.
What is it you're doing as far as dealing with people or whatever? Because that's not always the case that you hear. You a lot of times it dries up, but what is it? How is it you handle yourself or whatever that makes you so that you open up that spectrum of other people into other jobs so much?
Oh, networking. I'm just very open with people. I try to learn who the directors, choreographers are, and just, you know, just talk with them. And I was
Yeah.
just, sometimes I want to learn about their experiences because I always feel like everyone always has something to share. And I
Mhm.
sometimes like to learn about their journey. And I just say, hey, I would love to work with you more and whatever. And whether it's a workshop or the show or a video project or paid, non-paid, I just want to just, learn more and more. So I was just open to all of that. Um, Between both jazz dance, tap dance, directors, all of that, I was just very open to everybody, um, just to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you got the personal connection with people a
Hmm.
lot, which
Yeah.
that's for some of our actor types. Yeah, be nice to everybody because you don't know
Be
who's going to
very
be
kind.
watching.
Be kind because you don't know. Yeah, like you said, you don't know who you're gonna run into again. Who may ask you
Hmm.
for a project. You don't know if um they're gonna come put you on another project. Because I've had situations where someone asks, "Oh, how's this person?" and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, they're great," but there's this, So.
Yeah.
But you don't want that to
True.
happen to you. So it's just to be kind and just to do what you do and remember why you're here. Yes, it's a business, but to remember why why we do this in the first
Yeah.
place.
When you're talking to those directors and you're talking to those people, quote unquote, in charge, do you feel like, and this is just to maybe help some of our younger listeners or for people who are pursuing this as a business, when you're talking to them, do you feel like you're talking to them with that in mind that this could open a door for the future, or do you feel like you just want to talk to this person and you're just interested in what they have to say? Is there any fear there when you approach them, or
Good
is
But
it
no,
question.
like,
it's both. I mean,
mhm,
there's always. I'm not trying to say that like talking to people necessarily will always get you something,
right.
but it's just trying to find the word for it. It's just me just learning who my bosses are. I guess it's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I know that, and I've talked to people, and then some people like really ask me, "Is like, how do you like do that?" Like I get nervous when I talk to them, and
Yeah.
it's like I think yes, there is a hierarchy to that, but they came from where we came from as well.
Mhm.
And also knowing that people want to learn from them. So I just ask them questions. I'm just kind,
Yeah.
and that's just who I am as a person, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I just like to talk.
Yes.
So, and I'm gonna pretty much give the rest of this to Satomi to talk to you, but
No,
I
don't.
really want to know about the cruise ship experience. Now my niece was a chef on one, so I mean I know of the really difficult hours, but as an entertainer, what is life like on those? Would you suggest it? And for how long?
For how long?
I know it's got a very short
Yeah.
shelf life.
Well, actually, I'll start there. A lot of people's careers is cruise ships, and they love it. And they've talked to me where they say, yeah, Broadway, was in hindsight, but I like the cruise ships. I'm having a
Mhm.
great time, making money, no bills. I get to travel, and I love it. They make do. Now, with me, in that case, I was like, I love this, and I do want to do it, and I love to do it forever, but that's not my end goal.
Yeah.
And I found that out really quick that
Mhm.
it can. I don't want to say it'll hinder you because you can still make connections with great people still, and with directors, choreographers. Like my first job at a theme park, it helped me grow and meet so many other directors and choreographers that I ended up working with later
Yeah.
in my career. But sometimes it's. I mean, okay, my hours with NCLs because I was on the Broadway show with After Midnight. Our scheduling was a little different from other cruise ships where they were doing, you say, the quote unquote cruise ship shows, where, they maybe get 2 days off. And I only maybe worked 3 days out of the week.
Really?
Nice.
We had 2 days of shows. Both were double shows. And then they made their own rehearsal here and there. But for the most part, I was free and open. We had our crew. I didn't have to do any extra duties or anything like that. And I have to do another show at all. The singers did, but I was just lucky enough at that time because of my track. I didn't have to do anything else.
How is it tap? Because I've worked ships as well, and sometimes when you're in rough seas, doing some of that choreography, and the ship takes a pitch and you're heading the other direction.
Yeah.
How did it affect you as a tapper specifically?
Oh gosh. I definitely my hamstrings hurt a little bit after that. Because the next contract after that was with the new 42nd Street in Chicago,
Hmm.
and it was to
At
the
Drury
point
Lane.
at Drury Lane.
Hmm.
Yes, and it was to the point when I was standing up, I had to like hold on to my knees and to get up because it was just,
Ooh.
Ooh, you're too young to get that one
yeah,
happening.
my lower back and my hamstrings were just thrown off, and it was just from like the jump splits, tapping on the floor, beating into the floor because we're on steel.
Yes.
We're on
Yes.
steel, and I'm trying to take this blue out, but so it was tricky sometimes. Sometimes we get the Rocky shows, but sometimes we would change certain things just to make it work. We had a part when we had to turn the stairs in a circle with someone on top, but when the ship was way too rocky, we actually
Hmm.
cut that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would hope so.
Yeah, we ended up cutting that. And sometimes like if there was like little drama here and there, it was. I also learned the second time when I went around, it was also because when being on a ship, you can't escape that stuff
Hmm.
and just kind of just take a breather because you're always around each other so much. So
Yeah.
I tell people it's like just get ready for anything that could be a drama, whatever. Like it happens. Just it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's
No,
only because you just can't escape that. You're just
Mhm.
there. You're in it all the time.
it's like you're on
Uh,
lockdown.
yeah, you're basically on lockdown. I mean, we went into lockdown one time because of a. This is actually a whole year before the pandemic hit with the neurovirus.
Ooh.
So when the pandemic happened, I'm like, oh gosh, this is all too familiar. When all of that started unfolding while on tour, and I was just like, oh, this is a little too familiar right now.
Yeah.
A
So you
little.
were
This
on
is too close
tour
to home.
when the pandemic hit.
Yes, and I was in
Ooh.
Montreal when it was January, and this is when it kind of started expanding.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Now,
Mm.
I'm gonna ask you one more cruise ship question just
Okay.
because having been there, it's like we all have these.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite story or a favorite funny thing that a passenger said?
Oh gosh.
Like I'll give you mine, and I've
Yeah, let me see
always
if I
thought
can
it
think
was
of
a
one.
joke, that people who worked on cruise ships would make, but it actually happened more than once. People would come up to us and ask us what time the midnight buffet was happening.
I can top that. I can top that.
Oh, I've got a list.
No,
Go
but
ahead.
this one is from working this is from when I worked at the casino. Someone literally came up to me, straight faced, asked me, "Where's a Russian roulette table?"
No.
Dead serious was asking.
I hope nobody's playing that. No.
Ever. Ever.
Oh
okay,
my.
I remember one. My favorite
Okay.
was when. So do they like ever let you off the ship, or are you allowed to like leave like your room? I'm like, you see me right now, right? I'm like, bro.
No, when we're not doing the shows, they shackle us to the wall.
Basically, like you
I was
see
in the
me
Navy.
eating,
They do.
right? It's like right, and you see me eating in this buffet or restaurant, wherever where I was. Right now, like yes, they let us out. I don't know what it's like.
Wow.
I don't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did become a germaphobe after working on there because you learn a lot of things about that. And always having to wash wash your hands and hand sanitizer every second you get and wipe things down my room, all the time. And I also had an officer's cabin, FYI.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yes, that's why it was also so nice. Yeah, so I had an officer's cabin, but that was because of the track that I was in. So it was more, like normally the singers get the bigger room and they don't have to share it. It was flipped just because of being a tap dancer, and I was also a singer. They gave the tap dancers and the host of the show the officer's cabin, and everyone else got.
So essentially, you're telling us that you were like you were bougie the entire contract.
Okay. A little bit.
That's perfect. Exactly what he's saying.
Yes. Yes. Favorite port before we stop.
Gosh. Oh, can I say?
Sorry, guys. I'm doing the cruise ship thing because I know what this is.
I wish. So I did the Caribbean, both Western and the Eastern. So I have a reason for each port. So Cozumel, because it's Cozumel, and I had a spot, and I had this place where I would get this red snapper fish. It was great, and it was beautiful. Loved it there. Costa Maya, I had a beach spot where I would go get breakfast and go lay down in my Speedos, and it was great. Chill there.
And there we have a visual. Outstanding.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. You're welcome, kids.
Sorry to my
jokes. Lamont's a dancer. I have no problem picturing him in his Speedos.
Sorry, kids. My apologies.
We should say thank you. Thank you. Okay, and moving on.
Rotan, Honduras was great. I loved them all. All of them had something that they offered in each country. Each port. Each country, and Jamaica was definitely a big one, but in certain ports, I always was looking for the curry goat because I love curry goat. It's one of my favorite meals.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yes. And just when you go to those islands, you start learning what your spots are, especially at the beach, knowing people that live there, what to meet up. I had a friend who lived in St. Thomas. So I went up to her spot that was like up in the mountains. So I just every port I really enjoyed, but anything like in the Caribbean, I just loved it all.
So now we're gonna go into everything else you do because you do like 7 billion things. But before we do that, I do want to go into your fascination with Jurassic Park. So, okay, real quick, what is the fascination with Jurassic Park? I love it, most of it. There's things I don't love, but we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Why is that what you would call your geek obsession?
So I started, start with the first movie. It will always come on USA, at my grandma's house. I'll always sit down and watch it. I was like, Jurassic Park.
Change the world.
But yes, change the world and getting more in depth with it didn't really start till I was a little older to learn when I start learning more about the CGI, the stories behind it, and how it became at Universal Studios. But it was actually Universal Studios in Orlando. I was going to say, I think at the time it was Universal Studios Escape before they went to Orlando Resort because nobody liked Universal Studios Escape. It was a horrible name.
Tell us what you really think.
Went right there. But it was that ride that really, I was like, oh, I love it so much. I'm going to Jurassic Park. I was saying, I had to go on the ride, go on the ride. But then the part that I never really enjoyed was once you go up the tunnel to meet the T-Rex. I was never a fan of the Dilophosaurus and the T-Rex. Loved the ride, never enjoyed it when I was younger. I was horrified.
Because you were scared, not because it was like cheesy.
Yes, no, I was scared. And I was also when the robots kind of worked a little better then, but it was because it was still like fresh and brand new at that time.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. Even now it's so nostalgic of that ride, and even still to this day they update the attractions, the attraction in Jurassic World, even though the first round when they updated it, it was like, okay, where's the Indominus Rex? Like, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
It was when they redid it and added more, it was like, okay, that's the one right there. And then how they just expanded all of that, reversed the attraction. It went left in Japan. So instead of it going counterclockwise, it then actually went clockwise. But it's the same exact ride, and like in Orlando, just in reverse. It was very interesting. But
do you think that's because of Americans driving on the right? You know, that kind of
natural
does it just
feel?
make sense?
I believe
sense
so.
to our brains. Okay,
I believe so. Yeah.
So I'm going to make a controversial statement. You can agree or disagree.
I'll let you know.
Other than the dinosaurs, the two best things of the Jurassic Park series is Jeff Goldblum and Chris Pratt, and the worst thing is the kids. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Which kids?
Every kid in that movie has been terrible.
I didn't like.
I have not liked one of the kids yet.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the Jurassic World kids. I'm like, well, great, give a story, but cool, but like I didn't need that. But I think that was for nostalgic reasons for the first one. I think I don't mind the kids from the first one just because it grew on us for so much, and I really enjoyed it. I think I would have liked it more if it was more. I still got to finish the book. Forgive me, but
it's only been out like 50 years. It's okay.
I know. I have the book. I just got to sit down. But when I started reading the book, I realized like, oh, this is so much more scientific. So I got to sit down and concentrate on when I read the book. I got to sit down and read that book.
It's clear he did his research.
Yes.
Well, Crane's a beast. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
But I wish that they flipped. They kept the original. What the kids were like. Tim would have been the techie. The little girl was scared for that time. I think that still would have worked great in that. But I get why to make the what was the little girl's name?
It was the girl from Interview with the Vampire. What's her name?
But
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
That wasn't the same girl? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What was she on? Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
well,
matter.
her character name was Lexi.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Thank you for winning.
Lexi. But I did get that to make her a little bit more empowered for the ending sequence with the Velociraptors to almost said Velocicoaster because I just went on it. But
how was it? Oh, I mean, sorry. No, we're gonna talk the franchise and then we're gonna talk the rides.
Yes,
but we gotta separate them.
Yes, we want to separate them. Sorry, but it I did get that to make her a little bit more empowered to be able to help them all to lock the doors, even though that didn't help a thing. Like they still
figured it out.
Yeah.
They still figured it out.
But I love the first movie, and the second one is actually my favorite.
Really? Because it's the one that is the most panned out of the entire. So if you were to grade each film, and how many Jurassic Park films have there been now?
5.
Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 World
plus the TV series.
I missed that one.
There's a TV.
I missed it.
My Brian is now leaving the session. There's the Camp.
No, you're gonna school us.
There's the Camp Cretaceous, which is about the kids who got left on the island in Jurassic World.
I could get behind that. I don't know why you didn't hear about it.
It's on Netflix, and it's 3 seasons already.
It's animated, or is it
animated?
That's
animated.
Okay, I'll check it out.
The kids are a little annoying, so just be prepared for that. But it's again nostalgic. That like, what was going on when this was happening? What was going on when this was happening? What was going on when this was happening?
So it's a parallel track.
It's a parallel track starting with Jurassic from the time when they got to the island and that's all I can say.
Without giving anything away.
Without giving it away. Yeah.
So,
This is still new.
5 films and a TV series. Give us your grades on each one.
Oof. Okay. So I'll list them in order from. Should I do best to worst or worst to best?
Do best to worst. That's what I like to
Best to worst.
Okay.
Jurassic Park and The Lost World is kind of on the same plane for me.
Okay.
And we can literally go in depth on reasons why. But the first one is the first one, but the second one is more jungle-y instead of theme parky. So on a good day is The Lost World is number 1, Jurassic Park is 2. On another day, Jurassic Park is 1, Lost World is 2. So we got that handled. So then number 3, I would put Jurassic Park 3 does not get that whatsoever. No, and I'll say why. But I would say Fallen Kingdom.
Is that the last one?
I would say that's like a 3 or 4. I really enjoyed Fallen Kingdom.
When did it come out?
Fallen Kingdom is the second Jurassic World.
Okay,
so it's the second one with Chris Pratt?
Yes.
When we already have he comes back and he's got blue and he.
Yes. So I would say that's number 3.
Okay.
Number 4 is Jurassic World, because I really actually did enjoy it. It's just Fallen Kingdom beat it for me. Yep. And number 5 is Jurassic Park 3. For all the reasons that, because you can tell that they were still writing the script.
Yeah.
There was too many sub stories. It was like, and first of all, how did the Spinosaurus kill those guys on the boat in the very beginning of that movie? There's no way, that you would have not seen them in the clouds and that mountain. Yes, I get it's a movie and I get that, but I'm like, no, there's no way. The Spinosaurus would have torn down as we learned, he was one of the smartest dinosaurs before we've learned about Adamus Rex later on, that he would have brought down that rope and that would have end right there. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't understand that. Too many sub stories, the whole egg thing, it's almost like, okay, when is this movie ending?
Wow.
But my favorite part, because the part I'm always waiting for is the part when they meet up with Eric. Also, why is the mother always screaming, Eric, Like, you're on a dinosaur land. Please stop. Please stop it. Please stop. You're going to die very soon if you keep doing that. The plane sequence was actually one of my favorite parts. I can't knock that whatsoever. I love that part. But I love the part when they're like, oh my gosh, we heard the cell phone, the satellite cell phone. I was like, oh, I don't have it. I was like, what was the cell phone? I was like, oh, it was when it got eaten and they turn around and the Spinosaurus is just watching them. That was one of the most horrific moments that I've ever watched in Jurassic Park series.
That's fair.
So I give that to them. I was like, oh my gosh, he's just standing there. Run! And then the Pteranodons. They're not Pteranodons, it's the other ones.
Pterodactyls?
Pterodactyl's the only one I know of, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite part. And then at that point, I'm like, okay.
Beautiful.
Good. Yeah.
So one question, and then we'll get to the rides on this.
Okay.
If we're going to have one more Jurassic Park movie and they're going to wrap it up, what do you want to see happen? That looked painful because you look like you're about to cry.
No, I'm actually stuck. Somebody had actually asked me this before, and I'm actually stuck. I don't know what to expect, and I think I like that.
Okay.
That's how I like to watch movies.
Yeah. I try not to over foresee what I want to see, because I like that they got us. It's like, okay, it's literally Jurassic World. They set it up really well. I was like, okay, I have no idea where we're going to go. I do hope that they go to Isla Sorna. That's rumored. They have to go to Isla Sorna. Isla Sorna was one of my favorite. After Isla Nublar, Isla Sorna. I loved seeing Isla Sorna to see what was going on there and what was happening. Yeah, I want to see that happen.
So you want to see the one more?
I want to see one more.
At least.
Isla Sorna. I got to see that. Yeah.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see dinosaurs in New York.
Yeah, that was an important island, both in 2 and 3. They were Isla Sorna. We didn't see Nublar again till Jurassic World.
If they end up in New York, that's
I'm done. I'm
That's
out.
jumping the
I'm out.
T-Rex.
That that's
We don't
jumping
need
the
any more.
Velociraptor. Yeah, there
We
you
don't need
go.
any more New York apocalypses and any more.
No.
We saw that with King Kong and it sucked then.
Yeah.
Well, we've had enough real ones. Give us
Yeah,
a break. We need a break out
Please,
here.
leave us alone.
Okay, so one more thing on the Jurassic Park, because I know you want to talk about it. What is your fascination with the Jurassic Park rides?
I love the storytelling. I'm also a theme park nerd. And I love, and I love how they put you into the element of the story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They've sort of changed how they storytell in the theme parks, where they made you. Wait, which one is it? It was when it was first Universal Studios. They first had ride the movies, like you learn how they did it and you get to experience how it was made. Cool, great. People already know how that happened, so now they write you into the story. So like Jurassic Park, you're going into in Jurassic Park and you get to ride the ride and something bad goes on, and I love water rides and it was a great ending to it, and the T-Rex and also all the decorations and the theming around, and even now I'm still watching, looking for other little details. I'm like, oh, how did the T-Rex get to where he is? You can literally watch how he got to that spot at the very end on the ride.
Oh wow! Like you can
That's
actually
cool.
see the animatronic.
Like how he destroyed. Like what was his path on the way?
Oh, I see.
It's like Star Tours.
Yes.
Yes.
Star Tours, but more. See, now we're
Interactive.
going. Now we're going in a different realm. More like Rise of the Resistance. I love Star Wars too.
Much more immersive. So now we were talking before the show about the new one in China, right? So, oh my God, we broke Lamont. We broke him.
It looks. I saw the YouTube clip. It looks freaking amazing. Oh my god.
I was telling Satomi that I think is one of Universal's greatest attractions, with the use of the original ride mechanisms. Because that ride mechanism is the Spider-Man ride.
Really?
Okay,
Yes.
so they converted it.
They're like literally 3 to 4 screens compared to having 9, and everything is animatronics. It is mind-blowing, and the way how they put you into that, like now I was like, okay, I just need to fly to Beijing just to go see that.
Yeah.
It was so good. Like it and I really want to see the queue. I want to know what the story of what I guess we had to wait till opening day, but what the story of that ride, like why, because this is a new car system that they made for the ride, because originally it was supposed to be the gyrosphere.
Really?
Oh, that would have been cool.
Really?
There was an interview where they said, yeah, they're working on a gyrosphere ride. That didn't work out.
No, I would imagine that would be really difficult.
Apparently, from videos that I was watching, that it was going to be a track that was from above. So it would have messed up sidelines. You wouldn't get the big dinosaur immersive above you.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because you'd be staring at a track. Something that I thought that was really spectacular was the fact that, because we've seen this in amusement park rides lately, like the Harry Potter rides, and a lot of the other, there's a lot more use of screens now.
Oof.
For that immersive feel. And honestly, when you watch them on YouTube, because our HD cameras flatten everything out, we lose a little bit of that cinematic immersiveness watching them on the YouTubes. But it was like they knew that was going to happen. So there's a lot of animatronics in this, and there's a lot of environmentals, and the animatronics have improved drastically.
Technology improved. Technology, like the original Jurassic Park ride was going to be completely different from what we ended up getting.
What was the original supposed to be?
Everything outside was going to be the same. But apparently you can actually find the original blueprints and somebody actually talking about it blueprint by blueprint of what's supposed to happen once you got inside. There was supposed to be a live actor inside that's supposed to get you off of the boat, but then a raptor attacks him and the boat spins around and it drops backwards.
I'm in.
That sounds amazing.
And what they got was the loose end version of that.
Did we just not have the technology at that point for it? Because I bet they've got it now.
The amount of what's it called? You know, like every few years there's a new amount of not CPUs, but
Yeah,
every
some kind
every
of
5 years,
yeah,
yeah, every 5 years processing
Yeah,
upgrades just
yeah.
naturally.
Your RAM goes up.
Thank you. Yes.
yeah,
So, but it
exponentially. Yeah,
yes, and they couldn't do it. Like the budget would have been astronomical. It wasn't ready to do that. And on top of that, they had to make sure that they did not screw this one up because Universal Studios already did horrible when it opened. Nothing worked.
Yeah.
yeah.
Jaws
Just
broke down. They had to redo that. They sued that company. Confrontation. I love that ride on them. That's one of, if that was still existing, that still would have been my favorite ride of all time.
yeah,
And I'm so glad I got to ride that. And
yeah.
that never the King Kong just always broke
Break
down.
down.
And
I've
Oof.
never been there, and it makes me sad. I could really want
oh
to go.
It's a lot of
I'm a
fun.
West
It's a
Coaster,
lot
you
of
know,
fun.
oh, you're in LA,
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah,
Yes. Eventually, we'll get you out here. We'll get you out here.
one of
and
these days.
yes, please.
So
Amazing.
I want to move back over, and you have like 10 billion things that you do. Tell us about some of your plethora of creative outlets that you are currently involved in.
Yeah. So I was always into music editing, so I always said, "Hey, Lamont, can you edit this music?" Yeah, sure. Cut. But I've always wanted to get more into like music production, get more into just learning more about that. Like literally, this room that I'm in right now,
Mm-hmm.
like I have this 43-inch right now, a screen under that, and the screen that I'm looking to right now is the one. I have 3 screens to set up, a keyboard right here next to me, my Mac Mini, and so I just went out, bought these things during the pandemic, learned more about it, got more into depth with Logic Pro, and started. I love it, and
I'm
and
obsessed
started
with
writing
Logic.
more.
Yeah.
I love it. Started writing more, and on a cruise ship, I was still doing lots of other Logic things, but now I had the time to really sit down
Yeah. It's
and
deep.
do it.
It
And
is
I'm
a
also
deep program.
yeah, and I got this Mac Mini where you have 64. I have 64 gigabytes of RAM with 2 terabytes of memory,
Mhm.
and this thing just runs.
I never thought I'd see the day that the Mac Mini is faster than the big Pro that I used to have. The big tower I
Yeah.
used to have. And this Mac Mini is like, oh my God. And I
Yeah.
know I'm being a commercial for Mac right now, but oh my gosh, I cannot believe how fast and far this stuff has come so quickly. And it's affordable. It's like, finally.
Yeah, it was great, and I bought my drum set. I bought a Elisa's electronic drum.
You
Drum
are
kit.
Sammy Davis Jr. Stop lying. Okay.
In the flesh.
Sing Candyman. Come on.
Yes.
Aw.
Candyman can.
There you go.
Oh my God, you totally channeled him there for a second.
Yes,
That was like creepy. That was awesome.
Actually, I had an audition for that role because I guess they was trying to bring it back. I had to learn 11 pages of material. Woo.
Oh, good grief. Oof. For those
Yeah,
of you
right.
who don't know, usually you get an audition and it's like it's a few pages. When you know that it's heavy when you start getting like that little stack come in and you're like,
It was a stack.
oh,
It was a stack.
I gotta memorize this.
And I
What?
did not mean to sidetrack you. Sorry about
No,
that.
no, that's okay. So I end up writing, which I can't get too in depth about it, but I started writing on a show.
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
Oh, no.
So I learned it more about. I'll tell you later. But I'll started learning more about music. But I brought in an arranger for this. But he actually did the arrangement for the dance I did at the Broadway and the Berks.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Oh,
He did.
nice.
He did that arrangement for me. So we started working together. Then I would put in the drum tracks, and I started writing more drum stuff. And then that started coinciding with more videography. Bought a whole new camera. The dance studio that I started in 21 years ago. That they would say, "Hey, can you video this stuff for us?" And so I started learning more about videography. Got the camera. Started getting more into lighting designing. Started asking questions about that.
So it sounds like your brain is just hungry for knowledge. Like you're just always creating. You're always, keeping your ear out for something new, some new way to express yourself.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you get a chance, actually look up Lamont and watch watch him dance, watch him perform. It's really, he is something incredibly
Thank
special.
you.
His his dance is, I mean, I was fortunate enough to do a concert with him over the summer up in the Berkshires, and uh you just, you watch him and you're like, your feet are so clean, you know, as a tap dancer. I did another project with him a while ago, and
Oh
it's,
yeah.
yeah. We were part of the Broadway Make a Plan to Vote campaign. It's a nonpartisan campaign. It was just encouraging people to get to the polls. And dude, you were our star. You were our star. It was such a joy to, so if you want to make your brain feel good, like, you guys, screw ASMR. Just go and listen to Lamont tap, and you will thank me.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, and this isn't blowing sunshine up your butt, but you know, since we've been talking, it's like the way that your mind works, kind of how mine's working. And it's making me look in so many different directions at the same time, and that's actually a rare thing to be able to communicate to people. I think that's an amazing gift that you have, actually.
Thank you. Well, that's why it all actually coincides with. I know that you want to talk about theme parks so much today, but it coincides for me with theme parks so much because if you was to sit right next to me, I'm probably not watching what's going on. I'm literally watching the cues happen. The gobos move. Certain lights cues, I'm like 3, 2, 1. Like I'm watching. Even there's certain seats on the Harry Potter ride. If you sit in certain seats, you see certain. If you know where to look, you can see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to look behind and see how the animatronics or certain things reset, or I look ahead and I see the ride ahead of me and see how that moves because I wanted to see how everything works.
Would you
And
say that you would want to be like an Imagineer if you had the
yeah,
opportunity? Would you like
yes,
to create something like that?
yes,
Yeah.
and I will have to get into project management in order to do that.
I
I've
would
already
love
learned how to do it, but
I would love to have you back on the show one day and we can just talk. I think we need to talk comic books. I have a feeling we need to go there.
I
We need to
never,
talk
I
Star
never got into
Wars.
comic books. I can't lie. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. I didn't get into, and I really want to. I never started getting into it.
Yeah.
I
And
got.
I don't have any. I love
Afterwards,
it.
we'll have some discussions on some places to start.
And
Okay.
our listeners can't see it, but for our YouTube watchers, Lamont has a fantastic Marvel captain's chair that he's on right now. There it is. There it is. What's your, do you
This
have
is
a
Iron Man.
Yep,
this, pardon?
This is Iron Man.
Yes. Is he your, is that your go-to Marvel character?
Spider-Man.
Spider, outstanding. Which one?
I love Peter Parker, but I love Miles Morales, and I'm
You like Miles?
glad
Yep.
that they.
I am
him.
obsessed with him.
Yeah, he's
Honestly,
amazing.
that's newer people that are newer to the comic book industry. They love Miles. People like me that have been around forever know Peter's my guy. You know, it just kind of
Cool.
happens
Yeah.
who you connect with first. And there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with, I want to put this out now. There's nothing wrong with connecting with any character, and that could be your character. So shut up about it. So,
Or you can have multiples. You can have multiples. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Lamont, tell our listeners where people can find you on your social media, online, all that good stuff.
Yes, you can find me on Lamont Brown NYC. That is my handle. At Lamont Brown NYC. That is both my handle for Instagram, Twitter. You can type it in. Everything will pop up. Right now, my website is back in. I have to put it back into construction. So right now, there are no videos on there. But same thing. My YouTube is Lamont Brown NYC. But
The TikToks.
TikTok, I actually kind of slowed down on there. I actually do reels instead.
Okay.
So everything is on there, and my website again is lamontbrownnyc.com. So literally, you can type that in, and everything for videos and all of that is on there.
Excellent. And I'm not going to ask you what's next because I happen to know what's next, and it's super secret.
Yes.
But Lamont is always
when it can't
working.
be talked about, we will put it on the website like we put everything up there.
Yes, we will. Yes,
In the
we
cities.
will. But you can always find Lamont performing somewhere, and do yourself a favor, go watch him perform. It's really a joy. We are so glad that you came on to hang out with us today, Lamont. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for just getting me on here. This was so exciting. I'm so glad that we got to meet on the Make a Vote video and well, virtually. No, we actually never really met. really
No, we
there.
didn't.
We
I know
never-
how that goes.
but actually meet in person for the Broadway and the Berks, and
Mhm.
and it was thank you so much on having me on here, and yeah.
We would love to have you back on again, Lamont, when your busy schedule lets you, but definitely would love to have you on again. Check out all of his stuff. Check out all the iHeart Geek stuff. You guys know where to go by now. Until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Satomi and Lamont. Keep on geeking on, guys.
Yes.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.